Hello, and thank you for joining me today for a demonstration of MarketDirect Cross Media. MarketDirect Cross Media is a powerful all-in-one design tool for one-to-one marketing communication campaigns. Let's log in and see how easy it is to use and how powerful it is. So first of all, when the designer first logs in, he or she is presented with the MarketDirect Dashboard. And this is the dashboard that the designer has created to keep track of his campaigns, leads that have been completed, leads that have been engaged and responded, email performance, survey performance, etc. This dashboard we'll see later is completely customizable, and not only does the designer get to see the performance of campaigns, but the designer can allow customers to log in to look at the performance of their specific campaigns. So let's start a new campaign. First off, we're presented with a 5-step wizard. The design intent for MarketDirect Cross Media is that the marketing specialist can create a fully functioning marketing campaign, cross-media marketing campaign, in very few steps and in quick order. We first off start with the data environment. The data environment essentially is the database that we're going to be using for the campaign, as well as other key features around the campaign. Generally, the data environment would be associated with a specific end customer who we're creating campaigns for. Might also be focused on a corporate account, the department within a corporate account. So we're going to use our existing data environment, and we'll click the Start button. We next are presented with the elements of the campaign that we wish to incorporate. This scaffolding, if you will, really will allow the marketing specialist to get to 80% of the campaigns that she needs to create. Every campaign includes, some way of getting into the campaign, an initial action. Generally, it includes some type of landing page or Pearl, and those landing pages may have various features, registrations of some types, validation of existing information, surveys. And then finally, for those who aren't participating in the campaign, reminders, 1 or 2 reminders. Let's stick with an email, initial action, and a print document. Let's also do a survey on our Pearl, and 1 email reminder is good enough. Click the Next, and we get into themes. Themes is a new and powerful approach to campaign design. Themes allow me to create a standard set of colors, of images, of fonts, a look and feel specific to a customer, to the department within a corporate environment, to an organization within a higher ed environment. These themes are included with cross media, but more likely than not, you're going to take these themes, modify them for yourselves, and use them for your customers. Let's go ahead and select the Great Escape theme. Finally, we enter in our company data. This is a very small little database where we can use these fields over and over throughout the campaign. These are fields that would normally be at the bottom of an email, at the bottom of a Pearl, maybe the return address of a print piece. So I'll leave that as is, and we'll give our campaign a name. We'll call it Real Estate Demo, and we'll create the campaign. So from those 5 steps, the campaign creation wizard gives me a storyboard with fully functional media types. It gives me a workflow, and it gives me the connection between all of those media types. So this storyboard is not just a way of explaining what the format is of the campaign, but it's functional as well. So for example, my invitation postcard has a QR code on it. I want to make sure that that QR code hits my landing page. I also notice that I don't have an unsubscribe page on here. So I'm going to go to the well over on the left. We'll pull that unsubscribe page over, and we're going to connect it to the unsubscribe buttons on all of my emails. So not only is this visually showing me what I'm creating, but it's creating the necessary link or code behind the buttons and the links within each of the elements. So I no longer have to go in and code the link and put the URL in. It happens for me automatically, which is a beautiful thing. So from here, I can use this as my navigation to start editing and personalizing each of these media types. Let's start with the email. We'll double click on the email, and we're presented with 3 panes. On the right is my preview pane. I can do some editing in this pane. I can also see from a responsive design perspective how it performs on a cell phone, on a tablet, on a desktop device. My center pane is my tree pane. It's a visual representation of the HTML code that's going into driving this, and it's just a matter of dragging the extension items down into the tree. And then finally, over on the right side are all of the properties for each of the elements. So as I click through the elements, I can set specific properties such as margins and colors, backgrounds, borders, etc. So the preview pane is a great way of looking and seeing how this will look on a phone, how this would look on a tablet, and then also I can scroll through the actual data itself. So I can see, I have some personalization here, Dear Mary. We can scroll through here, Dear John, Dear Tim. First thing I notice is I've got a space issue. So I want to put a little space in there, so I'll quickly edit that. Done. Right? Scroll through, see what that looks like. Yeah, it looks real great. Now, if I want to modify any of the properties of these backgrounds, look and feel, etc., I simply select that particular element. It highlights the element here, and then I can go and change the properties, whether I want to center align, left align, etc. Let's go and click on the email header properties, and this allows me to set all of the defaults for the actual email that's going out. Things like the subject, maybe I want to say get a 5% discount, Tim. So I'll just grab that field out of the database and we'll put that in there. The alternate text, as you can see from the tooltip, plain text that will be displayed for clients which don't support HTML. So probably what I want is, I want to grab this text over here. We'll do a quick copy and we'll paste it into my alternate text. My preview text, this is what's hidden. What will be shown as a preview, say in Microsoft Outlook, where I'm just looking at the list of my emails, that preview text is what's shown in those top couple of lines. So let's say, we'll paste that same information in there as well. So that's just kind of a quick look at how we can go and modify and change the templated and wizard-driven email. Now, let's go back to our storyboard and let's edit the web page. So we'll go to our landing page. I'm going to just, instead of double clicking on this, I'm going to click on the link, and that's going to open up again the same type of designer. So very important, this is an all-in-one design tool. So I'm not going to different applications to design different types of media, all within the same familiar, consistent design tool. Now for a web page has a lot more options, a lot more flexibility for design. Email is pretty narrow. Email has to be supported on phones, has to be supported in various email clients. So the types of items, extension items that we can use are limited. But on a web page, the sky's the limit. So again, this is inherently responsive design. And one of the things that we've incorporated is a recent occurrence, a recent new approach in web design, and this is using what we call stripes. Stripes is a very horizontal formatting of web pages, and you've probably noticed this over the past year to year and a half as you've visited more and more websites, that they are very horizontally focused. So if we look down here and just kind of scroll through my site, you notice I have a home header stripe. So I cycle over here. I have an action stripe. I've got a quote stripe. I've got a form stripe. Each of those stripes comes with its own menu. I can add additional stripes. I can delete those stripes. I can move those stripes up and down. So how do I add a stripe? Well, let's say we want to add a stripe below this, this quote. Click on the plus button. And what this will do is this is going to open up all of the stripes available in the theme. So I can scroll through this, and these may or may not already be in my web page, but I can scroll through these and I can say, hey, you know what? I want to be able to show this detached house with garden stripe. So I simply click on that, and it adds that stripe onto my web page. So here was the quote, and now here's my new detached house with garden. And again, responsive design. As I go into a more narrow or mobile phone type of view, we go into a vertical alignment here. So I scroll open to a tablet view or a desktop view, we go into a more horizontal. Now I'm looking at this and perhaps I don't want this particular quote here. I can delete that. I can move bits around. Maybe I want my detached house with garden to be below my form, because I really want people to focus on the form. So I simply click this down arrow and I can get that down to the bottom of the form. So very, very powerful in design capabilities. And you notice I've done all of this without going to the tree, without going to the properties. It's all driven by my theme. Now the responsive design is built quite nicely into the stripes. I can go one step further, and I can force specific design characteristics depending on the device that I'm looking at. So let's take a look at this stripe here, this form stripe. And it has a beautiful architecture picture behind here, and that shows up even when I'm on my phone or I'm on my tablet. Now let's say that on the phone view, that's distracting. Having that there, I can't really see exactly what it is. It's just distracting. I'd really like to hide that when I'm on a mobile view. So if I select that stripe in the tree, I'm presented with the properties for that stripe. One of the properties is the background, where I've set an uploaded image file that we're seeing here. Let's add another view, and for tablet, I want to show that architectural picture, but for mobile, I don't want any image at all. So basically we're saying if we're looking at this on a mobile device, for this stripe, get rid of the background image. So now as I scroll, as I pull this into a mobile view, you notice my background image disappears. Go back out to a tablet view, and the background image comes back in. Of course, I can do that for any of the elements, any of the stripes within the web page. So it gives you the ability to control dramatically how pages are viewed, depending on whether it's a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile device. Very, very cool, very, very powerful functionality. So we've looked at editing an email. We've looked at the advanced editing capabilities of a web page, because web pages are just so much more capable. Let's look at a print document. Now, instead of going back to the storyboard and double-clicking on the print document, I have shortcuts here. So I can go right to my printed document. I can look at all of the documents in this campaign, and there's just one, the invitation postcard, and we'll open that up. So now the designer here, very similar look and feel. However, you notice there isn't a center tree view or a properties view. That's because this is print, right? Everything is fixed on the page, and we don't make changes depending on the size, because the size doesn't change. It's a physical piece. So I can go in and edit this as we would expect. Let's click on the edit button here, and let's put in, let's say together, and we'll personalize this. I'll right click on there. I'll go into my campaign database, grab my first name. So I'll say together first name. We will find your exquisite home, right? So I can scroll through the data, make sure that looks okay. Together Jamal, together Shard, together Shelley. Beautiful. Just love it. We can go in and edit some other pieces here. You notice I've got my text here. Let's just kind of clean this up a little bit. We'll put the salutation first name in. Let's put the zip code at the bottom. So I'm just going to cut that out. City, state, zip code. Let's put this there with a comma. Click out of there. We can kind of see it, see what the data looks like. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, that looks good. Beautiful. So we've made some changes there. I can go and, of course, swap out the image here. Now, along with this template comes template images. So I can select from those, or I can upload my own image. So let's say we want to put this beautiful house here with the great gate in front of it. We'll put that on there. We can add that, and we can save it. So editing the print piece, familiar editor to email and to web page, but of course with the limitations of that it's a physical printed piece, that things don't move around depending on the size, because the size doesn't change. Okay, so we've looked at editing emails, we've looked at editing web pages, we've looked at editing print documents. How do we pull it all together? Let's go into our workflow. So the workflow is created automatically with my wizard, with my template. This workflow is pretty straightforward. Starts with my data environment, right? And I'm going to send an email out, and I'm going to send a direct mail piece out to everybody in the database. Now, I know that I've got email addresses from most of the people. I'm not going to send them a print piece as well. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to modify this workflow so that I only send email to those who have email addresses. Everybody else will get the direct mail piece. So let's break these connections. That's just simply selecting them and deleting the connection. Let's move this piece over to give us a little bit of room. We'll move this piece over to give us a little bit of room. And now let's add a filter. So what I want to do is I want to look at the email field, and if it contains an @ sign, then I'll send them an email. If it doesn't, I'm going to send them a direct mail piece. So I go into my contains filter, and I'm going to say that if email contains @, then I have matches and I have non-matches. We'll connect everything up. Go back to my contains, and let's try the filter out just to see how it works. So I'm going to execute the filter. I'm not going to execute the downstream tasks. And basically what I've asked it to do is go through those 112 records, look at the email field, and if it contains the @ sign, put them into this bucket. If it doesn't contain the @ sign, put them into this bucket. Quickly clicking on the bucket gives me a view of the actual records that are in there. So now everyone that doesn't match will get a direct mail piece. Those that match will get an email piece. And as you can imagine, you can get very sophisticated in the automation of your workflow through actions of sending text messages to certain type of recipients, from sending print documents to email recipients, filters, there's always the specific birthday filter that if the birthday is today, then send them a 20% off coupon. I can use buckets from other campaigns. So if this is a follow-on campaign to a previous campaign, maybe I only want to interact with those who responded to the previous campaign. So I can grab a bucket from a previous campaign. Very, very cool, very, very powerful workflow. Okay, so we've created the media. We've created the connections between those media. We've created the workflow automation. Now let's give it a try. Let's see if it performs the way I want it to perform. First off, I can right-click on an email and I can send a test email, and this is great. So I'll click on send a test email. I'm going to scroll through to me because I only want to send it to me. So it just gives me the ability to scroll through all of the records in the database. There's Tim Daisy. We'll send him a test email. If I don't want to do that, I can also right-click on any of my web pages and do a quick preview. So here's my landing page. I can take a look at that. I can, click through this, get my discount. That's not allowing me to get the discount until I fill my form in. And let's say my preferred communication channel is print, of course. I'm in sales, and my company size is medium. I can submit that. Thank you for your interest, Tim, etc., etc., etc. So now on the email side, if when I receive that email, I can go and execute that email in the same way, and you can demonstrate this. So very, very cool functionality to be able to just see how it looks, give it a try without actually executing the campaign. So now finally, let's say we're running the campaign. We want to see how it's performing. If I go to my dashboard, this is very familiar. We've seen what this looked like right at the start. But in this view, I'm able to edit it. I'm able to move charts around. I'm able to delete those charts. I'm able to add additional charts. Probably more important is I'm able to create logins. So I've created a campaign for a customer. I want to create a login for that customer. So let's call this real estate. We'll give it a password. And so now I can go in and say, okay, so we've created this dashboard login. Which campaigns do you want to give access to? So I just created the real estate campaign. I've also, for the same customer, I've created this new campaign, and I've created a fundraiser campaign. I want them to be able to access all of those. So now we send the customer their URL. They get this page, they log in, and they get access to their dashboard. Very cool. Now, because I gave them access to multiple campaigns, they can look at the performance of each individual campaign, or they can look at the performance of all of the campaigns, and the data will change depending on what they're looking at. So let's wrap up. What did we see? We looked at MarketDirect Cross Media. MarketDirect Cross Media is an all-in-one campaign design tool for creating personalized one-to-one campaigns with our customers, with our prospects. One design tool, not multiple tools, and designed in such a way to allow our marketing specialists to very quickly create a campaign in a matter of hours instead of in a matter of days. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to your feedback.